Hey gang, back with another video for you today. I have Mr. Roja Dove here with me.
Great to see you again.
Thank you. So we did a video about 4.5 months ago and we thought let's do another one since we are seeing each other here in Milan for ESSENCE. So if you want to find out more about Roja Dove and Roja Parfums, please stay tuned. Mr. Roja Dove, thank you for doing this video with me.
My utter pleasure.
Thank you. What excites you about perfumery?
I love the fact that perfume takes you on fantastic journeys, makes you feel good about yourself. I mean, what's not to love about it?
Yeah.
That sounds almost puerile, but I think it's true.
Yes.
I think that fashion's often not kind, nature's not kind, perfume always is, makes us feel good about ourselves, reminds us of people we know and places we visited. I love it for that.
Exactly, yes. What inspires you to create perfumes?
The inspiration of perfume can really come from a million different routes. Sometimes I smell a raw material, I'm talking to one of the oil suppliers, I smell something I've never smelled before. Sometimes I hear a name or a story. Sometimes it's a conversation about people or a place. So a million different routes.
Oh, how about music?
Well, I've always loved music. The first perfume that was really inspired by something musical was Diaghilev.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Diaghilev was the impresario who founded the Ballet Russe, arguably created modern theatre, and was the catalyst for Art Deco, which is my favourite period in history, creative history. And I literally, a few weeks ago, made a perfume for the Royal Opera House in Muscat, in Oman, who had commissioned a new production of the opera L'UXE. Wow. And in this opera we find two really famous pieces of music. We have the flower duet, really easy for me, two flowers dancing around. And there's also something called the bell aria or bell song. And an old name, the name in French for a bell is a cloche, and a very old name for a lily of the valley was clochette de bonheur, oh, wow. the bells of happiness. And the opera is set in India, and the main material from India is Mysore and sandalwood, which is still the finest. Oh. So the shape of the perfume came through these raw materials because of the story. And one of the things which was one of those sort of lifetime moments for the world premiere of it, as the flower duet was sung, the entire auditorium was scented. Wow. And I will always remember it. I mean, I was just sitting there and the smell started to come, and thinking, you know, from the original idea to suddenly there are all these people in the auditorium who are smelling the scent I just made. It was really fantastic.
Oh wow, awesome. So who are the biggest fans of Roja Parfums fragrances?
That's a difficult one to answer, I think, a really difficult one.
Sorry.
No, because I think that my work and my brand is polarizing. I think people either really love what I do and what I try to do, or really dislike it intensely. So the great thing about that is that it instills a reaction from people and an emotion. And I think perfume has to do that. I think if perfume doesn't,
absolutely,
if it doesn't instill an emotion, then what you've made is bland.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm a bland person. So I would say at the beginning we had two core types of client, not mutually exclusive, but we had people who were real utter fragrance lovers, who smelt something in what I made that resonated with them. And we had people who were maybe wealthy, who didn't want mainstream, and they saw what I was doing as non-mainstream. Yeah. Of course, you know, my brand's not even 8 years old, which I think people often forget. We're now in 50 countries around the world, in over 300 stores, which I find quite amazing, as we're totally self-funded. Totally. You know, everything that we have made has gone back into the company to grow it. And over a period, particularly with the support of people like you, but through social media and online fragrance communities, people discover my work that maybe once would never have been able to, because the world's different. Totally. And so we have people literally from all around the world who engage with us, who just love, it seems, love kind of what I do, which is very big and lovely compliment.
Yeah, awesome. So which countries are the biggest market for Roja Parfums fragrances?
England, Britain is Britain is our biggest market.
Wow.
I think you have to bear in mind that a store like Harrods, its turnover, annual turnover, the store's annual turnover, is more than most major cities bring in. I mean, its figures are mind-boggling.
Wow.
And London is an international city, and so we get people coming literally from all around the world. So London's our most important market. The other big important markets for us are Russia. We have an enormous business in Russia. Middle East, we have a big business. We're developing a strong business in America. We opened in Bergdorf Goodman years ago, right at the very beginning. We have a great relationship with Bergdorf Goodman.
That's awesome.
But are slowly starting to, open in the Neiman stores and in private perfumeries. I think one of the strengths for us in the States seems to be small specialty perfumeries. So it's difficult. We have a really big market in Germany and markets which maybe people wouldn't naturally think are big perfume markets, but they are. So the part of the world we're not in, maybe is easier to say, we're not in Asia. Not for any reason, we're just not at the minute. Maybe we will be, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, where do you see Roja Parfums going next?
Nobody knows. That's a difficult one. We are about to move counter in Harrods, which is a really major deal for any brand.
What does that mean, move counter?
So in the Black Perfumery Hall, which is their main perfumery counter, we have at the moment one of the largest counters for a single brand. We've always loved where we are because we can meet a lot of people and get to a lot of people, but we are moving to one of the main counters on the perimeter wall.
Okay.
Which means that we need to do a lot of things to support that business. So potentially I might make some perfumes which are exclusive to just to Harrods. We have just we've just opened a couple of new stores around the world. I'm sure you know that already. That's not really new news, but it's comparatively new news. And it seems one of the things that people are crazy nuts for, is, if crazy nuts is a proper expression, are things which truly are limited. I don't know that I necessarily think that's a good thing, because it depends why people buy it. I think you only ever buy a scent because you really love the smell of it, not just because there are only this number of bottles made. But it's easier for us sometimes when we only do make a limited edition, but you can't keep adding and adding and adding to the collection. And the other thing we've been developing, we have scents, of course, over time which haven't sold. Sometimes they're some of the most creative. That's not always true, but sometimes they can be the more challenging perfumes. And so we have those in a collection called the Heritage Collection, which we sell in Burlington Arcade and in the HAUTE Perfumery in Harrods. And maybe we'll do something a little bit more with that collection, because there are some real gems in there. I think that it's important to think that when we launched Roja Parfums, it launched on July the 2nd, 2011. I launched the brand, as you know, I wanted to leave a legacy for my family name because of the death of my mother. We needed to launch a lot of things. It was a brand which launched with a very, very tiny collection. We had 10 products. Reaction to it was astonishing. But the market is, and the world is mad for newness. So we needed to expand the palette to make sure there were things for a lot of different tastes. Yeah. But also people wanted newness, and it was a tool for us to continually talk to people about, now we have this and now we have this. The thing we don't need as a brand are a lot of new perfumes, because we already have a very big collection. Yeah. So the things we will launch will be really very specific things, and we have with both Elysium and Elixir, they were the first time that we took a scent, a masculine or feminine scent, and really put everything behind it. We made it as a, if you like, a proper, I don't know what that quite is, but a proper global launch with all the things that people would expect, with point of sale, collateral, and bags and blotters and so on. And the result, the reaction to it has been quite interesting. I do think it's fascinating when I hear people talk about it's my version of Creed Aventus, because it smells nothing like Aventus whatsoever. The scent of mine, actually, which is much nearer to Creed's Aventus, is Scandal. I don't think I've ever read or heard anybody say that. If you've said it, I apologise.
No, I haven't.
But I think it's really very, very interesting perception, and how perception can sometimes blur olfactive reality. Although I'm fully aware that, of course, our reaction to scent is totally subjective.
Totally, yeah.
But when you smell Scandal and Avento side by side, they're very, very near. They're separate scents, but they're near. Whereas I think Elysium is in a totally different olfactive orbit.
Interesting. Do you consider Elysium and Elixir the best-selling?
No, they are. Well, I don't consider them. They are. They just are.
Yeah.
I think that because they're so strong, you know, the visual representation of them, it was fascinating that suddenly, from out of the blue, the airlines got in contact with us.
Wow.
We're the #1 selling brand on Emirates airline. It was I think the #2 best-selling product on British Airways first and business class, from out of the blue. It's like it was one of these, you know, pinch me, is that really happening moments, because you can't test it on the aeroplane, as you know. So I think that says an awful lot, that people seem to react so positively to the brand, the people that do like it, that they will maybe blind buy, or maybe they'll smell it in the store, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
So they seem to have caught people's imagination.
Are there plans for a store in the USA?
There are no plans. However, I would love to have a freestanding store in America, in New York.
New York, of course, yeah.
I think it would be. I think they're important, like the shop that when we met, you visited in Burlington Arcade in London.
Beautiful shop.
Thank you. I think having, you know, your own space where the environment is exactly how you want it to be, whereas when you're in a department store, there's all this other stuff around.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think scent is such a personal thing that if we can spend the time, like you saw upstairs where we have that whole floor, which is about just sitting with one client or 2 or 3 people that have come together and taking the time to help them discover.
Makes total sense. Yeah.
So hopefully, is the answer. Hopefully soon, but there is no direct plan.
All right. So what's in store for Roja Parfums fans in the future, or coming right up? What do we have?
We are just about to launch, and we're late to the market with it. Hair perfumes, which I know many brands obviously have, but we will launch those. I don't know if I'm supposed to have said that. Jack might tell me off. You're most likely the first person in the world to have heard that piece of information. The thing that was really important, one of the things that we're known for, are our products really last. When you wear them, they really last.
Yeah.
I made body cream. Our body cream was an interesting product. Is an interesting product because it made me understand that our industry, don't ask me why, traditionally makes 2 types of body cream. Either it's an anti-aging treatment cream where the scent is not so important, or if you buy a perfume body cream, whilst it might moisturize, it doesn't do much else. So our perfume body cream is this extraordinarily technical cream that provides, you know, it's soothing, anti-irritant, hydrating, anti-aging, blah blah blah. Very complete. And very highly perfumed.
Wow.
People can't believe the volume of perfume in it. It's most like about 10 times more concentrated, the scent of it, than most body creams that are made.
Wow.
So the hair perfume, perfumed hair mist, it was really important that it had this very high performance. So it took us, we've been working on it for 3 years. Nice. And I trust that when it comes to market, people love it. And in the autumn, the big scoop is that there's something I hope people will love, which will be slightly unexpected, coming for men.
Oh, exciting.
And that's all I'm telling you.
That's all you're saying.
As much as I like you, that's all you're hearing.
Any last things you want to mention before we wrap up?
No, all I'd like to say is a huge thank you to you for your support.
Yes.
And to all the people that come, discover, and kind about what I do.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, thanks so much for watching this quick video with Mr. Roja Dove. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. So Roja, you have a book that you have written, correct?
I have.
I've seen some photos and it's quite amazing. Can you let us know a little bit about it?
Sure.
Because I especially love the section about the notes or the ingredients with the photos.
I wanted to write a book because it was part of my legacy, and I wanted to write a book that didn't exist, if that makes sense. You know, there are lots of books on perfumery, but I wanted to write a book that there was a reason for it. So it really explains every aspect of perfumery, from how the nose works, all the main raw materials of perfumery, the methods of extraction, how perfumers blend, the main harmonies, strengths, down to what are the great classics, the perfumes that were the first of their type, where the perfumer took a new raw material and it pushed perfumery off in a new direction. So what's the story behind it? What's the raw material? Who's the perfumer? What's the story of the house? What are the bottles? At the end you have all the bottle makers, because when a house closes and nothing's left, all that's left to remind us generally is the bottle. So the book looks like this.
The Essence of Perfume.
The Essence of Perfume. And inside, so for example in this chapter, it explains literally all of the main raw materials of perfumery. It's done in alphabetical order.
Wow.
And by the side of each material, it tells you which facet it belongs to. So, for example, hyacinth is part of the fresh floral facet, and the illustrations go around in clockwise order as you go through the book, so you can find every raw material on the side. So the facets are really important, because most people's noses aren't trained enough that you can spot the difference between frangipani and ylang ylang, for example, but what you will know is you're smelling a white flower. So after it goes through all of these type of, all the main ingredients, including the synthetics, it then starts to talk about the facets themselves. So the floral facet, it breaks it down into fresh florals, powdery florals, sensual florals, and so on. So the book goes all the way through. It starts to tell the history of perfumery itself, decade by decade, men's and women's perfumes, more on feminine perfumery than masculine perfumery, but both. It then tells you the story of the houses, and at the back of the book you have the main bottle manufacturers. And
it's amazing, this book.
So
awesome book.
I'm proud of it. It was, as say, part of something I wanted to lay down as a legacy. It has a lifetime's knowledge in a book.
It is.
I've been in the industry for 40 odd years, but I first fell in love with perfume over 50 years ago, so it's got more than 50 years worth of knowledge inside.
That's awesome, yeah. So we have some fragrances to smell, like last time we did.
Yes.
In the Burlington Arcade Boutique.
Yes, so it was difficult to know what you might like to smell, knowing we're going to meet in Milan.
Yeah.
The first one I thought was interesting is called A Midsummer Dream. It's inspired, of course, by A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay.
As an ambassador for the Great Campaign, I was asked if I would do some things to support that campaign, and so I came with this. So you'll see on the bottle and on the box, this is Puck, and you know, in the story of Midsummer Night's Dream, Puck makes a magical potion that he can spray on you. That he can drop on your eyelid, and when you wake up, the first person you see, you will fall in love with. And I thought, well, perfume's like a magical potion. You put it on and you hope that maybe people fall in love with you for your scent, if not your personality, but hopefully they'll fall in love with you for both. So I thought Midsummer Night's Dream was too specific. Midsummer Dream, every day can be a dream, if you like. It's an interesting scent because it has a lot of different elements. It has a floral aspect. It's about the idea of Tatiana laying on her bed with musk and mosses. So you have a chypre element.
You really love
chypre. I do, but it's a very multifaceted perfume because it has a sweetness to it. It's very bright and fresh. I think the opening of it is really, the Hesperidic facet I think is really gorgeous. It has a very nice pink pepper note which helps enliven and brighten it. So when we launched this in Selfridges as an exclusive, and I'm really proud to say it became the #1 selling perfume that summer in Selfridges, beat every other thing in the store with no advertising, which tells you about the juice. For me, it's only about that. It's about how things smell.
It really does smell great.
So it's one of my secret hidden scents. I think lots of people don't know that it exists.
Is it available in the States, or?
I think you can get it in Bergdorf Goodman.
Bergdorf, okay.
Jack is nodding. We can get it in Bergdorf Goodman. Yes, Tom, Bergdorf Goodman.
All right, what else do you have for us to smell?
The next scent is this. It's just called The Perfume. On the front of this, you'll see this sort of like a sunburst. I made it for FORTNUM & Mason, which is the oldest department store in the world. It's over 300 years old. It's in Britain we know it as the Queen's Greengrocers. And as you walk into the store, on the canopy there are these sunbursts all the way along. And
I can smell that already.
How do you find it?
Wow. Beautiful. Wow.
I think it's, I tried to make a scent which marries the exoticism of these things which come from all around the world with the understated luxury of the quintessential British store, if you like.
What's the animalic stuff on here? Musk or?
No, it has various musks in the base of it. So in a little bit of a way, maybe it sums up how some people view the British, as if we don't, but we certainly do, and maybe that's captured in the perfume.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Love that one. It really does stand out.
And you start to smell the woodiness coming through, and I think there's a lovely balance between the warmth of the woods and the dryness of some of the woody mossy aspects, with this slight sweet aspect in the top. Wow,
this was recently recommended, so good recommendation.
Good. Thank you.
All right, you have one more?
And then the last of them is, everybody who knew me that I always wore the same scent. I wore it for 30 years, about 6 months short of 30 years. And one day I smelt it and I didn't recognise the perfume anymore because the formula had been changed. So I suddenly had to stop to think, how do I want to smell? Which might not sound very much, but it was a big deal, thinking of all the perfumes there are, how do I want to smell? So there were 2 scents that I wore that I liked, but I felt they weren't really me, and I was working on this particular accord, and I put it on my skin and I liked it, and I wore it for about a week, and then I thought, no, this is mine. And the this is mine thing that ended up becoming the story of this perfume, because I was asked whether I would sell it, and I said, rather like a petulant schoolchild, no, it's mine. And the story went on and on like that. And so in this scent, it's a chypre, but I say it's a chypre wrapped up in cashmere. Because in the base of it, it has certain bordering on oriental aspects.
Violet?
You know, it has violet in it, most certainly. A lot of orris, which is one of the materials that makes it powdery. It has a lot of ambergris, which is one of my favorites. A little bit of vanilla. So as it softens on the skin, it takes this very, very soft, powdery element. So I was asked, would I sell it? And I said, no, because it's mine. And on went this story. And I said, okay, if you think people will buy it, I will make it on my birthday, which is on the 25th. So therefore I make 25 bottles for Britain, 25 bottles for the rest of the world. And if it doesn't sell, I'll be happy because I'll have a little supply of it. Anyhow, we sold it, and then the next year we did the same. We now make 250 bottles a year for Britain, 250 for the rest of the world, because people seem to love it.
It's so good.
Inside it, it has gold.
Wow.
And the gold is me being a little bit tongue-in-cheek. It allows us to talk about the raw materials. Because when people see the gold, oh, it's real gold, and we can say yes. But the jasmine in here costs double the price of the gold, and the orris, which is in here, takes 6 years to produce and costs 3.5 times the price of the gold, and the ambergris, which is inside, costs around 7 times the price of gold. But yes, it's gold.
It's gold.
So anyhow, so this just has my name on it, Roger. It's part of a collection called LUXE, although lots of people refer to this perfume as LUXE.
So good.
But it isn't, it's Roger, it's mine.
Wow. That's awesome.
You smell it on your skin if you think if you find it awesome, it's more awesome on the skin.
Wow.
So you got this very, very bright, fresh opening, a lot of bergamot, a little bit of basil, touch of tarragon, and then in the heart you get this big interplay of rose, a lot of rose with ylang, which makes it very creamy. The ylang works down in the sandalwood in the base.
The violet really stands out in here. Oh my god.
Yeah. I think you smell violet also a lot in Great Britain. In Great Britain you have this very dark leather with the violet sitting in the heart, and the violet, I think the violet and the orris in this perfume work beautifully because it takes you seamlessly down into the base of the perfume.
This is really good.
Thank you.
This is really good.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
So there we are, 3 of them. I mean, I think a lot of people know or know of my scent, but these 2, the perfume and A Midsummer Dream, I think are really personally very interesting creations.
Totally.
They have very distinctive olfactive profiles.
Wow.
So,
yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you as well.
Yes, nice to see you as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.